You know, when we think about music in a pub, it's easy to just write it off as background noise, right? Something to fill the silence. But what if I told you it's actually one of the most powerful and most overlooked business tools you have at your disposal? Today, we are going to break down exactly how the right sound can engineer the perfect profitable Sunday.
So let me just ask you something straight up, especially if you're a pub owner or manager. Is that Sunday playlist, the one you probably don't even think twice about, is it actively costing you money? I promise you by the end of this, you're going to know the answer.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about a scene that, honestly, plays out in pubs all across the country every single Sunday. It's a silent profit killer we like to call the vibe killer.
Picture this. It's 2 o'clock, peak Sunday service. The roasts are flying out. Families are laughing. The atmosphere is absolutely perfect. And then, a 19-year-old staff member plugs their phone into the sound system. And just like that, the vibe is shattered. Grandparents are confused, conversations just stop, and suddenly everyone's asking for the bill. It's what we call Spotify sabotage, and it is a silent assassin for your bottom line.
So let's be really clear about what just happened there. It wasn't your roast potatoes that sent everyone packing. No way, it was the music. The beats per minute, the BPM, was completely, totally wrong for the atmosphere you were trying to build.
And this brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer, atmospheric engineering. This is all about the deliberate, intentional shaping of your pub's environment, especially the sound, to actually guide your customers' behavior. It's about turning music from just an afterthought into a real, concrete strategy.
And look, this isn't just some vague idea or guesswork. There is real science behind this. So let's dive into the fascinating data on something we call chew speed.
Okay, check this out. The correlation here is it's undeniable. Fast music, we're talking over 120 beats per minute, it literally makes people eat and drink faster, which means they leave sooner. Now, that's perfect if you're a high-turnover fast food joint. But for a gastropub, you want the complete opposite. Slower music, down in that 60 to 70 BPM sweet spot, encourages people to relax, to eat slower, to order that second bottle of wine, and, hey, maybe even stay for dessert. And it gets even crazier than that. There's this thing scientists call cross-modal correspondence. Now, that's a fancy way of saying that what we hear literally changes how we perceive taste. That high-energy chart music you've got on, it could be making your expensive Malbec taste sharp and acidic. But swap it for some deep, soulful music, and suddenly, that exact same wine and tastes richer, smoother. Your playlist is directly impacting the quality of your product. Wild, right? All right, so we've diagnosed the problem, we've looked at the science, now for the good part. Let's get practical and talk about how you actually build a strategy to craft that perfect Sunday vibe. So how do you actually build this thing, this sonic architecture for a profitable Sunday? Well, we've broken it down into 3 simple, super effective tactics. Finding what we call the Motown Goldilocks Zone, using the acoustic cover strategy, and then finding that elusive volume sweet spot. So why Motown and Northern Soul? Simple. It is the undisputed king of the Sunday lunch for a few huge reasons. First, it has this incredible cross-generational appeal. Everyone from 20 to 70 years old knows and loves these songs. It's upbeat enough to keep the energy positive, but it's never intrusive, you know? It doesn't get in the way of conversation. It feels sunny. Now, what if you want a more modern feel? Well, this is where the acoustic cover strategy is pure genius. You take familiar hits, think Oasis or even Taylor Swift, but you strip away all the loud drums and heavy production. What this does is give your customers that little dopamine hit, that little, oh, I know the song feeling, but without all the sonic clutter that makes it hard to talk. It's truly the best of both worlds. Okay, next up, let's talk volume. And to really get this, we need to understand something called the Lombard Effect. Basically, it's that natural thing we all do. As background noise gets louder, we start talking louder to be heard. And in a pub, that can quickly spiral into a shouting match if you're not careful. And this leads to a really crucial tip that might actually surprise you. When the pub is empty, yeah, keep the music low. But as the room fills up with people, you need to turn the volume up. Why? Because a room full of bodies acts like a giant sound sponge. It just absorbs it. If the music is too quiet, all your customers will hear is the stressful clatter of cutlery and the rising chatter of everyone else. You have to ride that volume control dynamically throughout the service.
So you've nailed the lunch service. But a profitable Sunday doesn't just end at 4 p.m. It actually has two very distinct phases, and each one needs its own strategy. I want you to start looking at your Sunday like this. From about noon until 5 p.m., you're in the dining phase. Your whole goal is creating a relaxed, comfortable atmosphere for people to eat. But from 5 o'clock onwards, you shift gears into the drinking phase, and the energy in the room needs to shift right along with it. That 5 p.m. switch, it's such a powerful signal. You're not just changing the music, you are actively telling your customers, through sound, that the dynamic of the pub has changed. You're saying, dinner is over, the last plates are being cleared, the bar is now open. And here's what that switch actually looks like in practice. You're transitioning from that mellow, soulful, acoustic vibe of the dining phase into something with a bit more energy for the evening crowd. We're talking Fleetwood Mac, the Rolling Stones, maybe some Arctic Monkeys. The tempo goes up, and believe me, so does the bar tab. Okay, so you've now engineered the perfect rhythm for your customers out front. But what about the rhythm that keeps the whole operation from falling apart? Let's talk about the engine room, your kitchen. I mean, think about it. You can have the best playlist in the world, create the most perfect vibe out front, but if the kitchen is in total chaos, that entire rhythm you've so carefully built just collapses. So, how do you bring that same sense of calm, controlled rhythm to your back of house?
Well, kitchen chaos, when you really boil it down, almost always comes from one single thing: unpredictability. Not knowing how many roasts you're going to need for that 1 p.m. rush, or getting that sinking feeling you might run out of beef, that's what creates the stress and absolutely kills your efficiency.
And this is where that same engineering mindset goes beyond the dining room. We want to introduce you to the Roast Forecaster from Smart Pub Tools. If your playlist is the soundtrack to your pub, think of this tool as the conductor for your kitchen. So what does it actually do? Well, it sets a steady tempo for your service by predicting demand waves with incredible accuracy, so your chefs always know what's coming next. It helps you avoid that disastrous moment of telling a table their first choice is off the menu. Basically, it keeps your back of house running just as smoothly and as chilled out as your front of house sounds. So, look, getting the rhythm right, from the speakers all the way to the service pass, that is the secret to a truly profitable Sunday. If you're ready to engineer your own success, you should visit smartpubtools.com. You can get your hands on the Roast Forecaster and a bunch of other great free tools that are all designed to help landlords boost their profits. And of course, for more explainers just like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching.